Hello, welcome back, Steve's Corner. What will New Hampshire reveal? I was surprised the other night, I don't know whether y'all were or not, that Desantis dropped out. I figured he'd hang in there at least through South Carolina. I know he knew he was going to get stomped in New Hampshire, but, I think he had a pretty good shot at coming in a pretty good second in South Carolina. I don't think Nikki's going to win her home state. But Trump don't win his either. But by him leaving like that, that actually put it down to a two-person race. Hey man, when Nikki was governor of South Carolina, when she first took it, I was all for her. I thought she was going to do a good job. But she pulled a couple of stunts down there that I didn't really care for. I don't know whether people of South Carolina did or not, but I didn't. And I ain't cared for her since. I think she did an okay job as a UN ambassador. But, I don't mean no harm. I just can't see her being president. I don't know whether whether she can beat Biden or not. The polls say she can, but, the polls ain't telling you the truth. I lie on the polls all the time. But I just can't see it happening. I don't believe the country's ready for a woman president. I just don't. I think the only woman that had a halfway decent shot in the last 50 years was daggone Komi Harris. She come closer than any woman I believe is gonna come for the next 20 years or so. It's not that we don't have a woman that can do it. I just don't think the country is actually ready for it. We were ready for Barack, but it took a major doing in order to get him in there. Right now I just don't think we're ready as a country to have a woman leader. And it's a shame, really. There's a handful of good ones out there that I think can do the job, I guess. We really need somebody like Margaret Thatcher. I liked her. I really thought about that. I really liked her. We had somebody like that leading the country, man. The people would go for a woman in a heartbeat. But, Nikki's not going to be that way. And what gets me is tonight in New Hampshire, man, you can register on site and vote. So how many of the votes she get is it actually going to be a Democrat? Not so much because they would vote for it, it's because they're voting against Donald Trump and they don't want him to have a shot at it. Now don't get me wrong, man. I got no problem with him doing that, but it kind of skews your numbers a little bit and you don't really know what to believe. I ain't got no problem with him doing that, but it don't give you a true picture of her electability. How's that? And so I think that if she does a good job tonight, which right now I think he's projected with a 15-20 point lead on her ass. So I think I don't see her actually pulling anything out, but I think she's going to be closer than what people think, because I think a lot more Democrats are going to show up and vote for her. I don't know. But I was surprised the other night about old Desantis pulling out like he did. I was kind of hoping he'd stay in there. I'd like to see them all three of them stay in there to Super Tuesday. But he understood that he really had no path forward. And to be honest with you, I don't see Nikki having a path forward either. When you come into a race, you're going to run a mile against somebody, and you get a half-mile lead to begin with. It's hard to catch them. It really is. Unless you're in an automobile of some kind. And she's trying to push it off as being a new wave of conservatism or whatever, a young wave or whatever. And that ain't what the people want. The people want they want to go back to normal life. Health, security, able to make a living. We just want an opportunity. And right now we ain't got that. We're getting so much stuff pushed down our throat. And right now I think the country is more segregated than it ever has been. You know, 50 some years after Martin Luther King, and we're worse off now than we were when he was alive, I believe. You know, you got them quotas and stuff like that, and I forget what they call it, equity hires or whatever, and that's wrong, man. When you go under the knife at the hospital for, I don't know, some kind of surgery, they're going to replace your hip or something, you don't care who the doctor is, as long as he's the best one to do the job. You know, them equity hires, man, is wrong. But that's what we've turned into as a country. And people don't want that. They want the best person for the job, whoever it may be. It could, you know, it could be a one-legged Mexican. If he does the job better than anybody else, they'll give it to him. You know? And that bothers them. That's what people want. You give the people an opportunity, give them an honest shot at something, and let them have at it. They'll make out just fine. And that's what they want. And the way I can see it in the race now, I mean, Trump's the only one doing that. And that's why I like that Vivek, that speech he gave the other night. I mean, that's all he was doing, promoting, you know, the best for everybody. I mean, he wasn't forcing daggone electric vehicles down your throat. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to have one if it was practical and if it was a little cheaper. But the cost of it and the impracticability of it is it's just not worth it to me. But man, to get in that sucker there and tell it to take me to town and just sit there and watch it go, man, I'd love that. I might still be working if I had a vehicle like that. I could just crawl in the back and catch a nap on the way to work. But, you know, and then they're squashing your gas appliances and stuff like that. I mean, they're making life rough on a regular person with what they're pushing up there now. And people need a break from it. They can only push you too far before you start bucking them. And I believe the people in the country are starting to get to that point now. Feels like it anyways. I don't know. But I'm going to be interested to watch tonight's and see how the breakdown happens, see what happens. Well, it's starting to rain here. I'm going to get in the house. Y'all take care. We'll talk to y'all later.